The light fades with death's cold embrace. You've already been zipped and tagged. Struggle as you might, it will not help. No one can break out of the body bag. Here to oversee the autopsy, your hosts, Chris Thomas and Broke Rider Dave.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to BodyBag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Rider Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
You know, I was thinking about it, and we can't just rely on Jamie Stewart to bring us overseas traffic for our listenership. So we're cheating on Jamie Stewart with Janine Pipe tonight, or tonight over a year area to this afternoon with us.
Yeah.
Editor of the Slasher Anthology, which we've talked before on the podcast, and we've had Haley Newland and Brianna Morgan on the show. And you can also find her collection, Twisted and Tainted Tales, on Amazon. And be on the lookout for her upcoming book, tying in with Dog Soldiers, as we're going to be reviewing today. Here on the show, Miss Janine Pipe.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking some time.
Yeah, we're happy you're here.
Just through our little back and forths on Instagram alone, I've been looking forward to this. I can tell you're very excited to be talking about Dog Soldiers, and having just watched it myself, I am too.
Awesome. Sorry, I was just going to say something I couldn't talk about for ages, so yep.
Enough to write a book about it. But
yes.
But before we get into Dog Soldiers, we would like to talk a little bit about your own work.
Okay.
Like I said, we've had Haley Newland on the show, as well as Brianna Morgan, promoting the Slasher Anthology. Both of them very delightful to be on the show.
Yes.
And we finally have the editor here.
Yeah.
And Dave actually has read Twisted and Tainted Tales.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to pass it off to him, since he read more than I did. So Dave, go ahead and take it over.
All right. Well, my first question, kind of an odd one. Being from the States, what exactly is a bellend? Like, I get it's an insult, but what exactly does that mean?
This is great that we're getting into this right now, because she was just, I just know it's an insult, and she was asking earlier if she was allowed to curse, so this is great.
So you don't know what it means.
I kind of have an idea, but why don't you explain?
Yeah.
Bellend.
Yeah, so it's it's the end of a penis.
I thought so. I was going to say, is it like calling somebody a knobhead or something?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So yes, straight in, break the ice. Yeah.
Just straight in. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a very, very British insult, bellend, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
You didn't want to ask any questions about Twisted Tainted Tales or anything, Dave? You just wanted to know about bellend?
Just need to know what that exactly.
It's been eating at him all week.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. It can only go uphill from now.
It can only go
uphill. Yeah.
But for actual like fans of the horror podcast, maybe they would like to see you ask some questions about the horror stuff there, Dave.
Yeah. So, like I said, I read Twisted Tainted Tales. Which one is your favorite story or stands out the most out of that collection for you?
Ooh, that's difficult. Probably the two that bookend it. So Footsteps, which is the werewolf story at the start, which was actually Splatterpunk Award nominated last year, and They at the end, which is also a werewolf one, but more of a coming of age sort of story. They're probably my two favorites. And then the one that causes the most polarizing sort of opinions is Paradise City, which involves some teenage boys and a hole in a tree.
Yeah,
and that's all you're getting as a little teaser.
Yeah,
definitely check it out. But yeah, that one make you cringe a little bit.
Actually, while I'm thinking about it, before I forget to ask, do you think there's any way that we could get perhaps a signed copy that we could use for a promotional giveaway over here? We would take care of the shipping and everything and whatever you would.
Yeah, of course. No problems. Yeah, definitely. That'd be lovely. Thank you.
I was actually thinking about seeing if we could get that as well as one for the slasher, and then see if we could mail it to each of the authors and just get an entire signed thing from each of the authors. We already know 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a great little collection.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, Dave. Back to you.
So I read from your notes, you're a huge fan of Supernatural.
Yes.
Great TV show, yeah.
As is Dave.
Yes. What is your favorite episode from that series?
Oh my god, from 15 seasons worth of Supernatural. Don't know if I've got a favorite. Oh, and yes, actually I have. I've got 2 favorites, and they're both later on. Scooby Natural, the one where obviously it's like the cartoon. And then there's one in, I think it was either 13 or 14, which is similarly themed because it's involves a comic book shop, and there's like a Godzilla-y type figure that comes to life.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant one as well.
I have to ask, as I'm only on season 1, how long do I have to wait until those interesting ones come out? Because I know people love that show, and I've seen little clips. Especially I think there's a fan favorite named, what is his name, Crowley or something.
Crowley, yes.
And I know the first season is usually slow to kind of get things going. How long do I have to wait until they realize they had a following?
Comes in around season 3, I think.
All right, I'll stick it out then.
Yeah.
A little slow right now.
It's worth it, yeah.
Because it almost starts as a bit like a Buffy kind of thing, you know, they're kind of just playing off because they're still, the characters are quite young, and they're just it's no X-Files or anything to start with, and then when the comedy kicks in as well, I mean, I loved it from the start, but it gets better the further that it goes, definitely.
I'd say the season finale of season 5 is one of the best episodes, and that was originally supposed to be the series finale. Yeah, because it was going to get canceled, but they brought it back for 10 more seasons, which is insane.
Can I ask another quick question about Slasher?
Yep.
So I enjoyed the stories that I read so far, and can we expect to see more women-based anthologies coming from you guys in the future?
So this is actually the 5th anthology from Candisha. We have 4 already, which were just kind of quite general themed. So the first one was Under Her Black Wings. Then we've got Graveyard Smash. The One That Got Away and Don't Break the Oath were very, general theme, whereas Slasher was the first very strict themed one. And next year, so we kind of do one a year because they're quite hard to put together, and there's only 2 of us doing it, as well as everything else that both of us do. So there'll be a general volume 5 next year, and then hopefully in 2024 will be Slasher Part 2.
Was Slasher the first one that was all just women authors, or were they all?
No, that was the whole purpose of starting Candisha Press, was that it was only for women. Because when Jill started it, Jill Girardi is the sort of editor-in-chief. It was very much because whenever she walked into a Barnes and Noble and picked up an anthology, it was 90% men. And it's well, this isn't fair. There's loads of women that want to do this, so I'm going to start something. So she started Candisha just to be able to give women a voice. So we've always had, obviously you want women that are more well-known, because if you see a name that's well-known, you're more likely to pick up the book. But we also wanted to be able to encourage that we always have someone that's their first publication and things like that. So we try and get as many different voices in there.
Yeah, I remember I saw you mentioning that in the interview with Eric Smith.
Yes.
I remember you saying exactly that it was all because, let's take men down a peg and celebrate women. Which actually, this is you're the perfect guest to kind of round out our, we've had just, we dedicated an entire month and a half to the women of horror. Yeah. Which is why.
Awesome.
Which is where I had a women directed movie. We had Haley, and we've been promoting the Slasher Anthology. So this is kind of a great way to kind of round out that little season of women for the ladies over here on BodyBag Podcast.
Thank you very much.
But getting back to slashers, and when you're doing these anthologies, what exactly are you looking for in the stories when you're picking them out or selecting them?
That's got to be tough.
Yeah,
I imagine
can imagine
you get
that's
a
easy
lot.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah, so with Slasher it was half invite and half open call, so obviously people could just put in submissions, and that makes it harder in itself because you could have like 5 stories that are amazing, but they're all very, very similar. And so then you have to pick the best of that, because what we wanted was this, you know, if you say slasher, you just immediately think of Halloween, sleepaway camp, Friday the 13th, you know, and that's fine, that's what we all think of, but we wanted things that were slightly different. So like the very first story in there by Sarah Budd, The Grucken, that is like a really unusual interpretation of the slasher genre, and we wanted things like that. So there were other stories which took that kind of more quiet approach, but because we already had that one, we'd have to say, I'm sorry, that's a really, really, really good story, and ordinarily I would have taken it, but we've already got something very similar. So there was that in mind. We didn't want it to be 20 stories that were exactly the same, because even if they were all brilliant, if you read the same thing over and over again, it gets quite boring. And we were able to say to them, because I love splatterpunk and extreme horror, it's probably my favorite subgenre anyway. So we were able to say that we wanted a few stories like that. But again, then because we always make sure that we put trigger warnings and content warnings and stuff on ours, we couldn't have all of them falling into that extreme explicit category, because we weren't putting out a splatterpunk anthology. So there's all those kind of things to think about. And we turned away some amazing stories, which is a real kick in the teeth, but it's what editors do, unfortunately.
I could never be an editor because I would feel way too horrible to have to turn people away. I would feel like I was insulting them, like, personally, if I had to turn away somebody. And
you do feel like that, but because most editors are writers, so we kind of know that it's part of the game. It's what happens, you know. And the vast majority of short stories, especially if they don't get into one anthology, they find a home somewhere else. Most of the people that submitted, I've seen them, you know, they'll turn up in other anthologies and things. So
I'm sure it's a known thing between authors and editors. I'm sure they all realize that.
Yeah. It's still not nice though. I imagine not. What can take it a lot, what makes it a really hard job is because as well, I did a personal reply to every single person to say, this is the reason why we rejected it, and picked out like little things that were like really, really good and stuff like that. So I made it, and most of the people then replied, and they were really grateful for the feedback, and they knew it wasn't because their story sucked. They knew it was because we just couldn't take any more stories. So that really helps as well, just to have the personal touch.
At least you were nice enough to give some kind of response back.
Sorry, we can't take it at this time.
That's it.
Are there any stories in Slasher that are your favorite, or is it just kind of...
Yes, let's go ahead. So let's go ahead and have you pick favorites right now.
Or
it's like
not
having
favorite, but which one stood out the most?
It's really, really, really hard to pick because I love them all. But my absolute personal favorite is The Crimson Bride by Mocha Pennington. And the story itself is so powerful, but because it's an own voice story, because she's a trans author as well, and she puts some of that into this, I just think it's a really important story as well. But it's so beautifully written that could easily be like a short movie or something like that. It's really, but I love every single story in there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen them. There's no story in there that we kind of went, oh Christ, we're gonna have to put this in. Every single story in there is top notch for whatever reason.
So, why don't we talk a little about your most recent project in Sausages, the making of Dog Soldiers, real quick, as a nice little segue, kind of going from one thing to the movie. Is it safe to say that Dog Soldiers is your favorite horror movie?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you did write a book about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what goes into making a kind of behind the scenes or a making of? I imagine a lot of research. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about it?
So lots of people have the idea to do things like this, and anybody could go ahead and write a non-official kind of book about anything. You don't need any permission to do it, because you're not saying that it's a tie-in to the movie. You don't need any IP rights or anything like that. But what I wanted to be sure of was that it wasn't just me gushing about the movie, because that would be kind of like really boring. I needed to have access to Neil Marshall, to the cast and all of that kind of thing. But also I needed to have access to all the behind the scenes people. I wanted it to be, because what was always very apparent from the movie is it's an ensemble piece. You know, there's no kind of like lead character in the film and everything. It's very much an ensemble film. But it was also very much a team effort to make the movie in the first place. So we spoke to as many people as possible. I spoke to the composer of the music. I spoke to the special effects guys. I spoke to the guy that actually like created all the fur for the werewolves. I spoke to the guy that worked at Parfait at the time that was like in charge of distribution, all of that kind of stuff to get a full picture. And the other thing which was very important for me was that it was a celebration of the movie. So I was very clear right from the start that I didn't want any gossip. I didn't want any controversy. I didn't need any like, ooh, Neil Marshall's a real dick kind of thing. I didn't want, you know, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a hack. I'm not trying to find out all those kind of things. And I think as soon as the actors and the people knew that I wasn't trying to trick anyone, I wasn't trying to get any dirt or anything like that, they were really happy to share the stories. So that was really good as well. And they all really enjoyed, they had a brilliant time like reminiscing about it, because they all had every single thing that you see on screen. They had a blast. They all say it was like the best thing they've ever worked on.
Because this was Neil Marshall's directorial debut, wasn't it?
First movie, yep.
And what a awesome movie to have as your first movie, and it was such a fun movie to watch. Well, don't worry. Well, the next half of this episode you can have to gush as much as you want. This is your safe space to do all that. But yeah, so was it difficult being able to actually, well, I'm trying to ask this but not it be gossip, was there anybody in particular that was the hardest to kind of get in touch with to interview?
Yeah, the only person that was difficult to interview, and it was literally because he is so busy, was Kevin McKidd. Because he now lives over in the States, so and in LA, so you've immediately got like that 8-hour time difference between him and I. And he's on Grey's Anatomy. You know, he is constantly working. If he's not acting in Grey's, he's directing. He is probably the most famous of all of them now. So he was the most difficult. But I did get to speak to him, and I can say hand on heart, he is so lovely. Like, we spoke for like about 90 minutes, and he was just, well, at the end of it, it was like we were old school friends and we'd been friends for years. He is just lovely. But otherwise, no, it was quite easy. And the reason why it was easy to talk to them was because of Neil. Neil gave me people's, you know, personal phone numbers and contact details and stuff to be able to get in touch with them. Because agents are amazing and they do their job, but they make it really hard for people like us to try and talk to the actors, which is their job. They field that kind of stuff. And if I hadn't have had these guys like personal like Facebooks and phone numbers and stuff, then I wouldn't have been able to talk to them. So that was all thanks to Neil.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I imagine they probably get like hundreds of people a day trying to like say, probably false people saying, oh, we're doing a book, and it ends up just gossip pay people.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got anything there, Dave?
I mean, it's awesome to hear how nice everyone was when you're interviewing them. That's always great.
They say never to meet your heroes, and it always sucks whenever you meet somebody who you like seeing on screen and then they turn out to be a dick in real life.
Definitely. And that was one of my only kind of fears, because not only is this my favorite movie, but Neil's my favorite director. A lot of these guys are my favorite actors. You know, I've kind of like watched their careers progress. They're up on a pedestal. They are my idols, my gods, all of that kind of stuff. So it was exactly that. What if I speak to them and they're horrible? But they weren't. They were all so lovely. They're all like, I can safely say that they're all like friends of mine now, and that just like is the most surreal thing possible. You know, they've all said you are part of the Dog Soldiers family now, which is like
that seems to be the case for like people in the horror community in general, everybody who we've interviewed and people who we've gotten in contact with, both during the interview and afterwards, have always been very nice, very open to talk, and especially authors.
Authors are amazing.
It's awesome.
Are just completely open to just swap ideas and just talk and geek out about their idols, kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, so before we, I'm gonna kind of delve into movie talk territory, but before we do, is there anything that you would like to say to like the audience in terms of what to look out for, or any projects that you're working on right now?
Nothing really that I can talk about at the moment.
Okay. I know that's hard too. A lot of some of the authors like to keep some of their projects a little quiet.
And just things that haven't been announced. The only thing I will say is that I am still working very closely with Neil, so there'll be more stuff
that sounds
that's
cool.
Awesome.
All right I'll leave it at that, and I'll so of course, where can people find you and your books that you've been working on? Where can people find you?
So for all my work is I've got an Amazon page, so that's the easiest way if you're looking for that, just Janine Pipe on Amazon. And then Twitter is the best place for me, where I'm Janine Pipe 28. That's where I hang out the most because I'm old.
Alrighty. Well, you heard it here, guys. So one thing I wanted to talk about before talking about Dog Soldiers is cult classic movies in general. Because you would consider this movie a cult classic or a cult movie?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it when I was at work the other day in terms of cult movies. Well, first off, other than Dog Soldiers, what are first off some of y'all's favorite cult movies? Horror cult movies.
One of my favorite movies is Brain Dead, which I think you guys call Dead Alive over in the States. So the Peter Jackson one. I'd say that's probably a cult movie as well.
Okay. What about you there, Dave?
I'd have to go with Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
That was going to be mine, but I'll because it surprises me how many people have not seen that movie when you have so many like horror royalty in that movie, like Freddy Krueger and the woman from Poltergeist, of course, and Herschel from Walking Dead, and aside from a select few people, like hardly anybody. But then again, that kind of led into my other question. At what point does a cult movie stop becoming a cult movie? Do you think something's lost when too many people know about a project? Because it kind of feels like there's something cool about being a fan of a cult movie, and that it kind of feels like an exclusive club. In that, I know this awesome movie and like hardly anybody knows about it. But y'all's thoughts, I was just thinking, is there a point where a cult movie stops being a cult movie? Or because like Rocky Horror Picture Show, it was considered a cult movie, but now like tons and tons of people know about it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely more mainstream out here.
Yeah, I would say once normies know what something is, then it's probably gone beyond cult status. So if it's a cult, even if it's popular, if it's just within like us, like horror fans, but once people, once you could say a movie to someone on the street and they're like, oh yeah, I know what that is, then it's not a cult anymore.
And now I'm happy to actually be a cult member of Dog Soldiers now, because I don't. Because
definitely a fan of this now.
When you mentioned it, I had never heard of Dog Soldiers.
No.
And I messaged you and I said, oh my God, Sean Pertwee's in this movie. I know immediately I'm going to love this.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of one question I wanted to ask, because we're talking about a cult movie in general.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the cult movie of the day then. Let's talk about Dog Soldiers. This is going to be a spoiler-filled movie review. So although I kind of do and kind of don't want it to be spoiler, because I really want to talk about it, but I don't want to deprive somebody of their first experience watching it, because this was a perfect movie to follow I just did a top 10 bad CGI movies, horror movies, because I love practical effects, and this was a great movie to kind of come right after this.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't know about Dog Soldiers, have you ever watched Evil Dead and thought this movie could use more werewolves? Well, Dog Soldiers has got you covered. You got your house in the middle of the woods, you got guns and werewolves. And I'm sure that this was probably an homage to Evil Dead, but those first-person tracking shots through the woods is very Evil Dead-esque.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
I really enjoyed that first scene, especially with the zipper.
Mm-hmm.
He finishes and the zipper just keeps going. That was brilliant right there.
So I'm ready to gush about this movie too, because this might have been my favorite movie we've reviewed this season. This was a lot of fun. This had
I'd definitely say this is the most fun movie we've reviewed.
Usually when I'm watching and reviewing a movie, I have my notepad down, and I'm usually the first to like kind of jot down things that I didn't like or things that were problematic. I couldn't really find any. Like I was just having too much fun. As soon as after the first 5 minutes of just kind of where you get the establishing a couple in the woods and then they get attacked by something.
Yeah.
Then it kind of turned into Jason Bourne for a couple of minutes where you're where this guy is getting chased by the military, and the movie just boosts and doesn't slow down from then on. It's just And if there's not action on the screen, then there is really fun dialogue. I loved the dialogue between all of these characters. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's very authentic, very realistic to what it is like in the services as well. So Neil did a great job of that.
My dad is retired military, so like kind of like the stories that he would tell is like, I mean, I it's not all just yes sir and move out and everything like that. When they're just kind of on their own, they're like shit talking each other back and forth, calling each other like twat or bell end. I don't know if they said, but stuff like that.
Yeah.
But had a genuine sense of like brotherhood. And that was just really cool.
Being a former active duty Marine, they definitely got the camaraderie right. But there is this one scene that bothered me.
What's that?
You would never put your back to a window.
I did.
Never, ever do that. It's all in training.
Especially when there's werewolves about. And you never like claim to be okay when the action has died down. Never announce to the group like a one-liner or "oh, I'm okay," because you're just setting yourself up to getting attacked. That is one thing that I will say that I did kind of stop and go like, "Come on, man, don't like you were just attacked from the window. Get us far away."
and then you turn your back to the window and then insult the werewolf skin.
What I really appreciated about this is Neil seems like he did a whole lot with very little in terms of for a good portion of this movie, you don't necessarily see the werewolves. You see the character's reaction to the werewolves. You see like a hand here or a silhouette here, and a lot is done with the sound editing and what you hear off screen. So I really appreciate this. I always appreciate a storyteller who can play with what you don't see.
Yes.
So I just needed to say that, like, first and foremost, that's the first thing I noticed. Showing a lot with very little.
Yeah, that definitely did a good job with that. Kind of built up your anticipation for finally getting to see the werewolves.
Go on, Janine. Gush away. This is your movie, Pig. What should we be? What should we be talking about?
I was because YouTube just watched it. I was waiting to see what your reactions were and things. It's nice to hear from a first timer, whereas I've seen it probably like over 50 times. So.
I just don't want it to be like with special guest Janine Pipe, and then it's us talking for like 30 minutes about the movie.
Don't worry, I will be joining in. I'm just enjoying your initial reactions to it.
All right, well, let me just bring up my notes thing. Oh, well, I just write like little notes as I go through the movie. Like first, one of the first ones being, I haven't been this captivated by a campfire story in a long time. When Harry Wells was talking about his story at the campfire.
Yes. An absolutely wonderful monologue that is. Yeah, Sean should have got the Oscar for that, definitely.
Yeah, that was a great story.
Clearly a snub by the Academy.
Yeah.
And well, it's safe to say that Wells was definitely my favorite character in this group of people. But damn it, did he have it rough?
Yeah.
Yes, his guts were out.
I was hesitant to get attached to him because everybody I love dies in movies. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, man, I hope that he's gonna be okay, at least for a good portion. And he was the first one to kind of get it. And just he's holding his guts through the majority of the movie, and then getting salt thrown on his wounds and getting patched up with glue guns and But I will say I absolutely love drunk Harry Wells.
And he was drunk. That's
the actual
Sean was drunk. Yeah.
Oh, so he's a method actor.
Yeah.
All right.
Completely method. Yeah. He's been on the brandy. Yeah.
So when he told Cooper to actually punch him out, I wonder if that was just completely improvised. He just told him to punch him.
Yeah.
And Kevin punched him. That's a real punch as well.
Okay.
This is making me appreciate the movie even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he broke Sean's nose. So I don't know if you picked it up, but the sound of when Kev punches him, you can hear like a proper kind of noise.
Yeah.
And there was blood that shot across the screen. That's all real.
All right.
And he punched him twice.
Off. Yeah.
Now,
the first one he missed, and then Sean was like, "Come on, you pussy," all of that, and he'd been like that for hours, and he'd really started to piss Kev off. So Kev was like, "All right, then you fucking want me to do it? I will do it." And he didn't mean it to be quite so hard. He didn't actually mean to punch Sean Pertwee, but yeah, it was a real punch.
Wow.
And Sean was so pissed he didn't realise. It was the next morning when he kind of woke up and he was like, "Fuck my nose."
I was about to say, at least he was drunk. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But at least they gave him probably the most badass death in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Complete with the intense music and everything. And that's exactly how I want to go out. I just want to go out in a blaze of glory, taking out like a pack of werewolves or a horde of zombies or something.
I don't know. Who was it? Spoon who was boxing with the werewolf at the end?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. If I go out, that's how I want to go out. Just go out swinging.
Or Joe. I mean, Joe had to have a one-on-one in the car. So
he did. Yeah.
He initially was going to be my favorite death of the movie, but then.
Yeah.
He didn't get an orchestra for his death, but Harry Wells did her.
Yeah.
Joe, I connected with a lot during the beginning when he's sitting there talking about missing the footy game. So I've been in the field missing sporting events. Like, this fucking sucks.
Yep.
So I was like, I feel that.
But I'd say we've mentioned all these, but I also have to, give props to, I believe it's Liam Cunningham.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah,
I've seen him in a plenty of other things too.
See, I couldn't remember what I recognized him from. I was like, I know who he is. I just don't remember where I've seen him before.
This movie's just sprinkled with people who I know that guy.
Yeah,
but I love that entire storyline between Cooper and Ryan.
Yeah,
the whole thing where it's the beginning, he's telling Cooper, "You're not cut out for this." And then,
all right, so I think that is my initial gushing. So. So why don't you go ahead and direct us there, Janine?
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, you kind of covered what the bits that I like the most. And it's the guys, it's the actors, you know, they are just I haven't got an army background, but I was in the police. So you know, I have that kind of like knowledge and experience of, again, just that banter. And it's so real because, you know, when we were in the police, we used to speak to each other like that all the time, and it's like the gallows humor and just how you get through the day. You know, when you come off of a 12-hour night shift, it's like, oh, that is how you deal with stuff. So it was very, very realistic, but it's just so funny, and I'm glad that you guys kind of picked up on that as well, because one of the things was, and I have seen reviews where sometimes an American audience doesn't always pick up on the British humor. Because it is very, very British. It is literally one of the most British films.
The banter back and forth was hilarious. I love them talking. I think luckily I've listened to enough either British movies or British podcasts. That
I watch enough British films where I'm like, okay, so got a handle on this.
I've seen reviewers say they had to put the subtitles on to be able to understand what they were saying, and I didn't think that the accents were that strong that you wouldn't be able to pick up on it.
No, it wasn't that bad.
I didn't think so. I was able to understand pretty much everything.
But it's just it is the comic timing. Like I said, another film which I love obviously is Brain Dead. So kind of like things like Shaun of the Dead. A comedy in horror is my favorite. You can be as kind of like crazy and gory and violent and all that kind of stuff, but it's like that roller coaster of emotions. And like they say, sort of like within filmmaking, the two best reactions that you can get is either a laugh or a scream, and you get everything in Dogs. You get them both in Dog Soldiers. And a lot of the lines, especially Sean's, were ad-libbed as well. So there's quite a lot of stuff that was in there that, because Sean's such a, you know, he was the most experienced actor on set at the time as well. He would just come out with stuff. And he is a really, really funny guy. Like when you talk to him in real life, he is hilarious. And most of the swearing as well, if you just have a normal conversation with Sean and it's fuck this, a lot of that is realistic too. And that's the other thing, you know, like they do swear a lot, but they do. That's just like, you know, what guys.
I mean, they're in the military. Like. I mean, but even if they aren't, that's just how people talk anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
I mean, I would imagine that I would have to have a sense of humor, given if I was put in a situation where, like, if you're put in a situation and then you realize that werewolves exist and you're getting hunted by. You either have to have a sense of humor about it, or else you're gonna like lose your mind. Like he's laying on the floor and he's like, "I'm doing peachy." Aside from my guts trying to vacate the premises and just like, I mean, it's either that or I would have to joke, or I would cry probably if I was getting hunted by a pack of werewolves.
Yeah, pretty much. And then one of the other things I like about it, which is something that I like in my literature and other stuff, is the homages and the Easter eggs and the odes to other movies in there. Because Neil is a self-professed massive horror nerd. You know, he is a real cinephile. He knows his movies. And there are so many beats in that movie, whether it's completely overt, like There Is No Spoon, which is obviously The Matrix, and all that kind of stuff. Or whether it's even just like, because when you were saying about Terry stood in front of the window and that you would never do that if you're in the military, well, the whole reason for that, and when the blinds come down, that's do you know where that's from? What film that's from?
All right, hold on.
When he gets pulled out through the blinds.
All right, hold on. Let me try to go through my horror encyclopedia knowledge. All right, so it's specifically
it's not necessarily a horror. It's not a horror film.
Okay, but it's standing in front of the window.
And
it has to be with the blinds down and then gets pulled out.
I'm stumped on that.
I can think of,
especially since it's not a horror movie.
I can think of plenty of movies that probably do that. But I mean, like, first
there has to be a scene like that in Friday the 13th.
Well, the first one that came to my mind was Nightmare on Elm Street, where she gets pulled through the door at the end. But all right, so
No.
specifically, what's the homage to?
Yeah.
Or what's it referencing?
That's Assault on Precinct 13. That one.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
That's a good movie too.
Yeah. So, and there's loads of just little beats like that, whether it's a bit of the music, whether it's just the way that he got the guys to stand. There's loads of stuff. There's like the bit at the very end where Cooper is stood when he comes out, and he stood with Sam the dog, and the way that he holds his arm. Mm-hmm. Do you know what that's from? That's from something very famous.
So even just how he's holding the pose with is including the dog.
Where he stood there holding his arm, not with the dog, but the way that Kev stood as he's holding his arm. It's very, very famous.
Jeez, I usually like to consider myself a really good cinephile, but damn it, this is not evident of that. If I can't, this is the second question I haven't been able to answer.
Evil Dead.
No, again, it's not a horror film, so.
All right, so he's holding his. Okay.
That'll throw you here.
Oh, geez. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
The Searchers, the John Wayne film.
Okay.
John Wayne's not necessarily someone I've seen too many movies of, so.
Yeah, that's more like my dad. He watches a lot of westerns.
Yeah.
That's
That's
yeah,
fair enough. Neil's also a really big western fan. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things within that movie again which are very much filmed sort of like with the cinematography almost more that you would an action film or a western, down to like sort of the shots with the cameras and things like that. They approached it more from that kind of point of view, which is all very interesting. And I had a really nice conversation with Sam McCurdy, who was the DOP on that and worked with Neil with quite a few things. And Sam's gone on to do amazing stuff. He's just finished on Peacemaker, so he's doing really well. And is a lovely guy as well. And he took the time. I was like, I haven't got a clue, because I'm a massive horror fan.
Yeah.
But I have never been on a movie set. If you gave me a camera, I'd be like, oh, brilliant. I can just about take my iPhone, let alone anything else. And he sort of took the time to tell me about the different stuff, obviously, which is all null and void now because it's all shot on digital and everything, whereas back then it actually was shot on camera with film, and went through like the different like shutters and things that they would have used to get the different shots and things like the mirror shots and all that kind of stuff, the 45-degree angles and everything to be able to get. So the bit like where they're running through the woods after Wells has been injured, that's all very much like Saving Private Ryan and Gladiator. Those shots, which are called the staccato shots. That's it. So it's all very much like that kind of special action thing and all of that. So it's fascinating to, like, if you don't know anything about movie making, to and then like to have these experts tell you about it. It's fascinating. The things I've found out behind the scenes have just been mind-blowing. All of it's just mind-blowing to me anyway.
Off the top of your head, do you know how much what the budget was for this movie?
I should know, but I actually don't. I don't know what the budget was, but I want to say that it was like 1.2 mil, something like that. That is what is ringing a bell to me.
Well, luckily I have the internet right over. What did you say? How much did you guess?
I said 1.2 million.
Budget 2.3.
Oh, okay, so more than I thought.
Yeah.
It was still like in the single digit. I mean, it was still for a horror movie, it was still pretty low budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably the most money they probably spent was definitely the explosion. So so let's talk about a little bit about some more about the dialogue in the movie, because if you took all of the action out of this movie and you took all of the horror werewolves and everything like that, you would still be left with a movie that has really good dialogue, really tense dialogue. And I'm a sucker for, I love movies that don't have anything but like talking in it. Sometimes if it's written well, then I really like it. Yeah. Was there any? Well, we already talked about his monologue, but were there any particular favorite lines or anything that always stand out or for you, Dave, that stood out when it comes to this movie?
When they're on the bed trying to like patch Sean up, and he yelled out sausages, it instantly made me think of Janine's book.
That's the
I was
name
like,
of the book.
oh, there's the title.
That's where it came from. Yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking like, I wonder where she got sausages from, and then he said sausages, and I was like, oh, that's the thing. It's the
That's
thing.
where she got it from.
That's the thing we're talking about.
Yeah. That, and when they're first like asking questions like Captain Ryan, and he's like, you don't want to do this, you don't want to go this route, and they pull down his bandages and see he's fully healed.
Oh, that was the other thing I was saying that was so rough with Sergeant Wells' character, when the dog was like tugging at his was it his bandage? Because I thought it was his gut at first, or was that his bandage?
It was his bandage, I think.
I thought that the dog had gotten I thought that he got a part of his gut that he was pulling on. I was like, oh my god, that poor man.
Oh god.
So that's interesting, because they had considered it being his guts that Sam the dog was pulling on, and then they decided that was just too much, and that probably like Sean wouldn't have made it if he'd been having his intestines actually pulled out. So they made it the bandage, which is what it is. It's a bloody bandage, so it looks disgusting, but that's what it is. But like 99% of people that watch the film still think that it is his sausages that are being pulled on anyway. So
I was like, he's taking it very, very well. He's not screaming. He's just saying, fuck off.
Fuck off.
I was like, wow, he's taking this a lot better than I would. I'm surprised he's not shooting the dog right now. But
See, on my first watch through, I did initially think it was his guts, because right after that, I forgot which private it was, ended up puking on Captain Ryan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes,
that's why I thought it was good. Yeah.
But like I said, I think my favorite piece of dialogue was definitely the campfire story that Wells was talking about. Just, if I was in the theater, that would be the moment where I'm sitting there with like popcorn just near my lips, not eating it, just captivated by his story.
Yeah, just on the hook right there.
And then immediately followed up with one of the privates trying to go, so this person walks into a bar and tries to lighten the mood.
Cut the tension, the joke.
Yeah.
What about you there, Janine? I know that there's plenty of good talking points in the movie. Is there anyone that particularly kind of like stands out as like, I really like that piece of dialogue?
So one of my all-time favorite bits is the scene just before that, where Cooper is talking about the campers from the beginning, and it's only like a minute and a bit of dialogue, but it's kind of like it's Neil's law drop, it's the exposition of tying in the bit from the start so that we know what's going on, we know that the authorities know that this has been happening. It's him telling the rest of them what's happening, but it's just done so well, and part of that is down to the fact that I absolutely love Kevin McKidd's accent anyway. His Scottish accent is just beautiful, so I could listen to him for the entire movie just talking.
Which private character, which character was he?
It's Cooper, Kevin McKidd that does that.
I like his accent too. Every time I kept hearing him, I kept thinking that he sounded like Christopher Eccleston. In fact, I thought it was him for a second because of his accent. They have similar accents, but sorry, go ahead. I don't know why I brought that up, but go ahead.
I'm now confused because I don't know, maybe because you guys are American, maybe they sound similar, but obviously for me being a Brit, Kev's very Scottish, and Christopher Eccleston is most definitely not Scottish. So
maybe not his accent, but I think his tone.
Oh, okay. Possibly.
Yeah. I think they have kind of like a similar kind of like back of the throat, kind of like deep voice, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Possibly. I also love just some of Sean's stupid lines. Like, I do love it when he's in the toilet and he shouts out, "I'm in the carzy." That's just so funny every single time. And then there's another bit when they've broken through the carzy, and they're stood in the bedroom, and it's like, just get in the wardrobe, and I just love it, and it's just so ridiculous, and it's just the way that Kev's like, all right then, let's get a wardrobe. And it's just the most like ridiculous kind of stupid thing, but it's the little lines like that I love as well. And I also love when Sergeant Wells says about that it is now a live exercise, so if Little Red Riding Hood should turn up with a bazooka, I expect you to chin the bitch. It's just brilliant.
That was great.
You know, I just imagine, because we do have I think a handful of listeners like from like the UK. You know, my whole Christopher Eccleston comment, I'm just imagining like if they're listening right now, just shaking their head, going, "You stupid fucking American! We don't."
I didn't want to say, but
you stupid American! Like you got. Was he just the first British person you could think of? And just...
it's fine, and I like Chris Eccleston as well. He's cool. It's just, I think for me, because Kev is so Scottish and it's just such a beautiful accent, and I just could listen to Kev talk all day anyway. So I thought you were going to say something like, because he doesn't speak with that accent obviously on Grey's Anatomy.
Like I said, it was more of the tone, rather than. Yeah. But you know, I'm sure if we have any subscribers over there, they've immediately like canceled their BodyBag podcast subscription. Like they've said
defended all of Great Britain.
You know, Chris has said a lot of dumb shit on this podcast, but that was probably the worst thing he's ever said. I apologize.
They've made me talk about was about a penis, so you're fine.
I apologize for any linguists out there or anything, but I'll be over here if you need me. I'll be sitting over here in the corner. I'll let Dave and Janine handle the rest of this episode. Oh, I was just actually thinking, we still have you for a little bit of time, actually.
I'm fine.
Jave, do you think we have enough time to do the Build a Monster?
Yeah, we should. I mean,
build a monster. All right.
I have nothing pressing right now.
All right, let's go ahead and kind of wrap up the Dog Soldiers discussion real quick, and then move on to like the final segment right here.
Yeah.
So at the end of each movie review, we give our kill of the week or kill of the movie. What would you say is the death that stood out the most for you? And this one actually had a pretty decent body count. The last couple of movies that we watched were very low on the body count. It was more psychological horror than anything. Yeah. So we actually have some to choose
number
from.
Of bodies today. Yeah.
I guess I can go ahead and go first. Mine's definitely Harry Wells, Sergeant Wells.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one.
You know, he had everything from the orchestra music. He went out in a blaze of glory as he was turning into a werewolf. Everything about that was really awesome.
I'm probably gonna go with Spoon.
Spoon.
I just love that scene. He fought that werewolf for a long time. He put up a fight. I thought my boy was gonna live.
And you there, Janine?
I have to pick a favorite death.
Yeah, well,
it's really hard for me now. It's really hard for me now because I actually know these people, which makes it worse. Like I can't, like you were just saying about how much you like Sean's death. I sometimes have to fast forward it now. I can't watch it. It's too emotional.
Oh, because I thought it was because you didn't want to feel like you were shortchanging anybody. It was because you feel bad now.
Yeah.
Well, like, that's another thing. I actually did give a shit about these characters. I got to know them. Well, I just knew them through the movie, but you got to know them in real life. But as I was watching, I actually cared. I wanted to see everyone survive.
Yeah, this movie does a really good job of making you really care about the characters in here.
I want Sarge to be able to go home and see his wife.
Yeah.
No. So sad.
But the second that he said, the second that he started talking about, the worst thing for me would be if I was never able to go back home and see my wife. I was like, well, I know you're making it. I know. Well, I know you're definitely not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite death, therefore, is part of Sean's death because he obviously blows up the werewolves, and you can just about could you make out there was a werewolf's head that gets blown up?
I saw that.
Yeah, that's Megan's head that gets blown up, and she was the reason why they were there. So
she's the worst.
No.
The betrayal.
Yeah. Being Supernatural fans, we should have known when she said her name was Meg that she was up to no good.
There we go. Yeah.
So it's technically Megan's death then, because you see the head kind of go for.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she was the reason that they were there. So yeah. I cheered when she died.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to one of our last little bits. We started with Haley was the last guest that we had that we did this with. It's Build a Monster. So basically, I have this little spinny wheel app here, and it's filled with tons of different horror characters. And you have 7 different characteristics. And I spin the wheel, and you have to basically build the most fierce monster that you can by taking, like, I want so-and-so's intelligence, or I want their weapon. So at the end of this, you'll have a kind of an amalgamation monster. So you have 7 characteristics. You have intelligence, you have appearance, you have weapon, you have voice, you have abilities, you have intelligence, and you have what was the other one I have there, Dave? Because I need to bring
resources.
Resources.
Yeah.
And you have resources. So Haley, when she was on, her character, after doing the spins and whatnot, she had the following character. And she's also the winner who went up against Tag, because he had an unfortunate couple of spins.
He had it rough.
Okay, here it is. Her monster, she had the looks of Art the Clown, the strength is the other one, strength of Patrick Bateman, the intelligence of Ed Warren, the voice of Jack Torrance, the resources of Pinhead, Shaun of the Dead's weapon, which was that, like, cricket bat or whatever he was using in that, and her specialty powers of Candyman. So that is...
That's not too bad, yeah.
No, yeah, it was not bad at all. A lot better than Tags, who had... he also had the weapon of Jack Torrance, which was an axe. He had the voice of Patrick Bateman, the intelligence of Predator, the strength of Ghostface, resources of Buffalo Bill, and
nice.
that one was the one that actually really screwed him over, because he was but he had the specialty of the T-1000 from Terminator, and he looked like Pyramid Head.
Oh, that's amazing.
But
I love that movie.
But we put it to a vote, and the people voted Haley the winner for that one. So
clearly, yeah.
So you get to create your character now, and so I'll spin the wheel. I'll tell you what the character is, and then you tell me what you want to take from them. All right, so I'll go ahead and give it a good old spin here. All right, your first character is Wishmaster. So you have looks, strength, intelligence, voice, resources, weapon, and specialty.
I mean, I like his voice because it's creepy as fuck. But I kind of like the fact, obviously, that he's a djinn, so he can do all kinds of horrendous, nasty wish stuff. So what would that come under? Speciality?
That would be specialty.
Yeah.
You want to do?
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Okay. So
Djinns
you have two.
Scary.
You have Candyman versus Wishmaster in the specialty department. So that's a pretty good matchup, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Spin again. Mick Taylor. I believe that one was from Wolf Creek.
So is he human? I don't even know who he is.
That one's a Australian movie. He's just a guy, and he's from the outback, and he kills and tortures people who come his way. So I think. I mean, he has a Bowie knife that he uses.
I mean, he has like a whole lair where he tortures people.
So you have weapons, resources, voice, intelligence, strength, and
He
look.
does have a dope Australian accent.
Or is it?
I'll go with his voice.
Or is it British? I don't know. Apparently, I can't tell voices.
Does he like BTK, but the Australian version? He's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Why do I not know? I've seen Wolf Creek.
Well,
yeah, it's based on a true story. Yeah.
He doesn't go out and I don't think look for victims. They just happen to come upon his area, and then he'll
like sabotage like a Jeep or something.
He's like that.
I know the true story. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was based off a true story. He was like he pretended to be a good Samaritan and then he would kill people.
Yeah. Well, especially because he's human. We'll go with his voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he hasn't got anything else.
All right. I mean, he had a knife.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
I don't want a knife. I want something better than that.
Yeah.
You also got Shaun of the Dead. You got Shaun. So that you got look, strength, intelligence, resources, and weapon.
I fucking love Simon Pegg, so I'm going to go for looks.
All right. Hey, that might give you an advantage. You look unassuming as fuck. They're chilling you like, oh, okay.
Shaun of the Dead.
Another very nice person, actually, in real life, Simon Pegg. I've spoken to him. He's lovely.
That's good.
That's awesome to hear, because I love his movies, yeah.
That's how he lulls in his victims. People will come up and try to get an autograph, and then he'll kill them. All right, next. Norman Bates. I know you're probably trying to hold out for like the really strong characters. So far you've had three regular dudes now.
Yeah.
See, I've still got intelligence, haven't I?
You have intelligence.
Yes, so I think I would go for intelligence for him.
Intelligence, Norman Bates. But you do have the specialty of the gin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to fuck everyone else up anyway, so I'm fine with that.
All right, so we're coming down to strength, resources, and I believe weapon?
Yep.
All right. Here's the make or break portions.
Yeah.
Kevin from Split. Actually, that's not bad. Split, so yeah, I mean, you have 23 personalities to choose from, I guess.
He's always a beast.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't forget, he does have like that beast thing that, you know.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And what have I got left?
You have weapon, you have strength, and you have resources.
Strength, then I guess I go with.
That's a good strength. He is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The strength of Kevin.
I mean, I feel like Kevin's stronger than Patrick Bateman, so.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So far we have looks of Shaun of the Dead, the voice of Mick Taylor, intelligence of Norman Bates, the strength of Kevin, and the specialty of Wishmaster. So we still got resources and
weapons.
Strength.
You need a good weapon.
Oh, no, we just did
Is Victor Crowley in there with the weapons or anything? I want like a hatchet or something.
Yeah. Weapons and resources. Okay. Resources, strength, weapon. Okay. Carrie.
Oh fuck! I would have liked her.
That would have been a very
specialty. Yeah. So what? Okay, so what counts as Carrie's resources? Because you could say that
the resources of a teenage high school girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then weapons is her mind. Does that count? Can I have that? Is her mind her weapon?
I'll leave that up to Dave. What do you think? Do you think her weapon should be considered her mind?
Yeah, 'cause she doesn't really use a weapon. She uses her mind to.
Exactly.
You know what? I'll give it to you. If you want to choose weapon, it could be her telekinesis.
Yeah.
Yes. Fucking A. Right.
All right. I think we might have
whoever's left is my resources.
Your resources and weapon.
Okay. Resources.
Randy from Scream.
Randy. So you have the resources of a college student.
You have the resources of all of that horror movie knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going to be?
He lives in the college dorm?
I mean, he doesn't have. He doesn't really have any weapons. I guess so. I guess Randy's resources.
Yeah.
It's fun because if you went from the resources of a high schooler to the resources of a college student.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there would probably be like a bottle opener.
A bottle opener.
Yeah.
He's a dude, a razor. I don't know, something like that. We'll find things. That's fine.
Anything. His resources are just anything that happens to be in his general vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll make do. We'll be inventive.
Your last one is your weapon.
I thought we just did that. It's Carrie.
Yeah, no, it's Carrie's mind.
No. Oh yeah, we did do that. The last one is. Wait, did we do everything then? We have the looks of Shaun of the Dead. We have the voice of Mick Taylor. We have the weapon of Carrie, intelligence of Norman Bates, the strength of Kevin, specialty of Wishmaster, and resources of Randy. Yeah, that's everything. So.
Yeah.
Bad boss.
You know, this one is a force to be reckoned with. In all honesty,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got them where you really needed. You got the strength, and you got the specialties, and you got that old telekinesis. So
yeah.
Haley will probably not be in first place for too much longer. But then again, I'm leaving this to people on Instagram to vote.
Yeah,
and let us know. So
see which way they go.
I mean, I know who I'd vote for.
What's the prize?
Bragging rights, I guess.
Yeah. Kudos. I like kudos. That's a good prize. Yeah.
To say I was lucky on Chris's shitty little spin thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'd like to actually, it would just be called "I Got Lucky."
I got lucky. Spin wheel on it.
Yes. All right, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we're coming up, getting close to right now to the wrapping up portion here of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We've had you on for about like 75 minutes now. Last thing I guess I want to say, Dave, we never gave a rating for the movie. I usually do my rating like out of 30 of how I liked the movie. So for Dog Soldiers, I couldn't think of anything I didn't like.
Yeah.
And this might be the highest rated thing that I give it. I'd say I'd give it out of 30. I'd give it about a 26. A 26 out of 30 because I enjoyed it. It was well made. Dialogue kept me interested.
Yeah.
I know that Pertwee was shit-faced when he was doing it. I mean, that was fun to know.
Learning that, yeah. Method actor,
So,
yeah.
People got their bones broken and face caved in for the movie.
Yeah.
Those were just a little bit of fun. Does Sausages, the making of, have a couple, like some more fun facts like that?
Oh yeah, all the way through. Yeah, there's loads of behind the scenes stuff and things like that. Yeah.
Well then, yes, I'm going to. Now is article that I had read was in January. Is Dog Soldiers out right now, or the Sausages Dog Soldiers as out right now? Because I think the article that I read was in January, and it said that it was coming up soon.
We are hoping for, fingers crossed, May 13th is the date at the moment. So it's not out quite yet.
Okay. I didn't want to tell people go and get it now, and then they start looking. It's like, well, where is it? So be on the lookout for it.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Neil
Awesome.
will, all the guys are going to tweet and Instagram about it and stuff. Yeah, you'll see it everywhere. You won't be able to get rid of me.
And for our followers, like I said, we're going to talk to you about seeing if we can get a signed copy for a giveaway for one of our lucky followers.
Yeah.
We'll have a little contest in the near future, as well as one for the Slasher Anthology. But what about you, Dave? What would you rate it? You can do your own rating. You don't have to do my shitty 30-point scale.
Yeah. I would say I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I'd say that it's definitely my favorite one that we reviewed so far. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and it was between that one and Last Night in Soho, which was by Edgar Wright. So
yeah.
Both of them non-American horror, which you guys just do it better than us. I'm really
Fair enough.
Yeah. a lot of good UK horror movies out there.
I'd ask Janine what she would give it on a scale, but I would imagine it'd be 10 out of 10. I mean, she's writing a book about it, so is that fair to say?
11. 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10. So you guys join the cult. Go and watch it. Join it until it's not a cult movie anymore. And if there's any final thoughts that anybody wants to kind of like end on, or like their final say before we go ahead and just wrap this up.
Everyone just needs to go watch this movie.
And Janine, you were an absolute joy to have on the show. We thank you for taking time out and coming on and talking horror and geeking out about it.
Thank you very much for asking me. Yeah, it's been good fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And we hope to see some more from you guys, and hopefully more anthologies to come from you and anybody. That little hush hush thing that you're gonna have with Neil. We're gonna be looking forward to seeing what that's all about.
Yeah.
So
I'm working on some more anthology stuff as well. So because I just can't seem to have enough projects at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, we're looking forward to that. And, so from here at BodyBag Podcast, I've been Chris Thomas, Broke Writer Dave here with me, and thanks again to Janine Pipe.
Have a good week, everybody.
Thank you.